let's talk about the incarnated sorcerer Hajime Kashimo. Because Kenjaku made plans hundreds of years ago to ensure his Culling game would be a hit and to include many powerful sorcerers, and one of them was Kashimo. But should the main cast or even Sukuna be afraid of crossing his path? Well, we'll get into that. But first, let's talk about his past life, which was around 400 years ago. During this time, Kashimo was old, dying, and bored of the battles that gave him no challenge. He knew Kenjaku at that time, but wondered who could give him the fight he was craving. With that in mind, Kenjaku promised that he could come back and face the King of Curses, since he couldn't in that lifetime. And I doubt he minded making the pact, since he didn't have long to live anyway. And do we know anything else about him beyond this? Well, not really. He's just another ancient sorcerer with a craving for blood, it seems, as someone from a more violent period. But anyway, fast forward to the Culling game, and as someone from a more violent period, Kashimo jumps into a colony to fight strong opponents. And it certainly helps that his young, strong body is back, but he can't find Sukuna anywhere, and thinks everyone he faces is beyond disappointing. Made more evident by the fact that he has 200 points already. And in hopes of spicing things up, Kashimo adds a rule so that all players can know info about who's active, where they are, and everything else needed. Thanks to that, Hakari and Panda know where to find him and team up to enter the colony, while Yuji and Megumi go after Higuruma. As if Panda doesn't have enough on his plate with his father being killed shortly before this, he also stumbles across Kashimo first. Panda nearly gets off-screened, if not for Hakari showing up when he's being held on a staff and refusing to answer Kashimo. Definitely feeling a change in the air, Kashimo smiles as Hakari does a superhero-esque landing nearby. Kashimo's struck, not just by Hakari's fists, but his ability to avoid feeling stunned by his cursed energy. Not to mention the random music playing around them because of Hakari's jackpot being active. As he's finally landing a good hit, reverse curse technique heals Hakari instantly, and he restarts his domain. Hakari gets a jackpot again, but Kashimo refuses to use his curse technique, or to simply survive until the song is done. No, he wants to take down someone who seems invincible and prove just how strong he is. He deals a ton of damage to Hakari's brain so he can't heal as fast, and might have even killed him, if not for Hakari's battle sense and willingness to take big risks in a fight that he's enjoying. Hakari even makes a binding vow, sacrificing his arm so that Kashimo's underwater explosion won't kill him, but by then Kashimo's cursed energy is depleted. On dry land, Kashimo tells Hakari to finish him off, but he won't because he needs Kashimo to join their side against Sukuna, who he wants to face anyway. So it's a win-win. Also, the points Kashimo has would disappear if he died without using them first. From there, the new rule is added, and the agreement is set, though Panda's not too happy about it. Fast forward to the big showdown in Shinjuku. So if you're following so far, we still have no clue about what Kashimo could do in a specific sense. He's been coasting on the element of his cursed energy and his years of skills as a fighter. Though Kashimo has nothing to do with Gojo beyond being the next one in line against Sukuna, he's forced to follow the date he sets. Also, who would want to argue with Gojo and risk a fight when they're saving everything they have for a fight with Sukuna? I'm surprised he even let Gojo go first though. What if Gojo had killed Sukuna? The deal Hakari made with him would have been pointless. Although I guess Kashimo would have just fought Gojo at that point. Anyway, like I mentioned, Kashimo wants to be next if Gojo should lose against Sukuna, and has the nerve to get annoyed by Hakari and the others who plan to jump in after him. Isn't that exactly what he was implying by placing himself after Gojo? That he thought the current strongest sorcerer would fail and give him a chance to dive in. While the intensity builds and everyone waits to see who will come out on top, Kashimo and the others watch the fight from within Rika. It's not only a way for them to avoid being caught in a massive battle, but to also see it on screens. We don't really get a sense of Kashimo's reaction, but I guess he's pretty restless and crossing his fingers that Gojo fails. For obvious reasons. All the ancient sorcerers want is entertainment, really. And the unthinkable happens. The strongest current sorcerer loses to Sukuna thanks to Maharaga's abilities. Kashimo wastes no time jumping into battle once Gojo's turn is over, with staff at the ready. This is when we finally get to know more about Kashimo's abilities. Let's start off with what we found out previously. This ancient sorcerer is extremely skilled at hand-to-hand combat, has decades of experience in battle, which automatically grants him a high IQ for fighting. He's also skilled at using weapons, like his staff, to aim and control his lightning/electricity with more precision. Prior to incarnating, Kashimo also knew how to use anti-domain techniques. This includes Hollow Wicker Basket, which seems to be one used more often by old sorcerers, but it was pointless against a domain like Hakari's. And then there's the electrified cursed energy that shocks anyone who hits or vaguely touches him. In turn, this makes Kashimo resistant to electricity-related situations. He can also discharge his cursed energy onto others, shocking them with it after accumulating a bigger amount. But the real power comes from Kashimo's mythical beast Amber transformation. It lets him manipulate his flesh, making it extremely powerful, but with a single use, which is why he didn't want to use it on anyone besides Sukuna. Not only does the transformation reshape his physical appearance through electrical currents, but his speed and strength as well. This means he's able to surpass human limits by relying on natural phenomena through his own body, and why it's impossible to reproduce again. But how does this look in a fight? Well, Kashimo leaps onto the battlefield, and Hakari helps keep his side of the deal, making Urarame focus on him so that Kashimo can get started. The god of lightning releases his curse technique, his flesh warping into spikes of electricity. And as if by divine intervention, the curse tool Sukuna was given by Yorozu grants him resistance. Still, at first, Kashimo's increased agility and physical changes seem to overwhelm Sukuna, since he's not able to rely on Maharaga. But the King of Curses unleashes his own incarnation that he had previously put on pause, returning to his historical appearance. Even with his brain synapses firing off much faster than a regular human, and his body and strength at their peak, Kashimo realizes he's facing a perfect enemy. This just means that he'll be having the fun he's finally been waiting for. But it slowly starts to unravel as Sukuna uses his extra arms for hand signs and releases his improved world-cutting slashes upon Kashimo in a way that he can't avoid no matter what. It's so easy for the King of Curses, in fact, that they have time to discuss during the battle about what it means to be the strongest and how one overcomes the loneliness of being on the pinnacle of power. And then when a literal wall of world-cutting slices come towards Kashimo, it's all over. Winning or not, Kashimo would have died after his curse technique was over anyway. His flesh wouldn't have been able to withstand the transformation and the morphing it had done previously. With that in mind, Kashimo returns to his elderly self and has a heart-to-heart with Sukuna about the meaning of strength and how a life can be lived through it. Kashimo challenged many people, not unlike Sukuna, but he went about it differently, and Sukuna never felt disappointed or lonely the way Kashimo had, simply because he lived his life more freely. Who's to say which version of living is more valuable when you find yourself at the top of a ranking? And despite saying he lived how he wanted, Sukuna found himself incarnating in much the same way that Kashimo had. But Kashimo, like Gojo, had one foot on the side of humanity and connections, and the other seeking ultimate strength, which may be why they both ended up with the same conclusion to their stories. At least Kashimo got what he wanted in the end, a challenger worthy of his life. And that was the short story of Hajime Kashimo. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more Jujutsu Kaisen content like this.